Great. We have Tom here. I heard it's your first podcast.
First podcast ever, yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little bit nervous, but, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Tell us about you first, a little bit.
Well, a little bit about me, I guess, then, yeah. Obviously, I'm Sam's brother, which is relevant to why I'm here. But, for the last four years, I've been living in Australia. Done a lot of traveling around the world. I'm very grateful to have done that. And then, worked in random jobs, had a load of life experience, good and bad. But I'm sort of at the point now where moving to Canada and got a load of things I'm looking forward to working on. And I'm at a next phase of my life where I think growth is going to be the main focus of it. So I'm super excited to just get back into it and reset from traveling and then, look forward to the next chapter.
That's really good. What made you get into the traveling part and so traveled everywhere nearly?
Do you know what? I think because being very grateful here, my parents always took us on holiday when we were younger, and it was a lot of different types of holidays, sometimes beach, sometimes city. We actually traveled quite a lot as a kid, and I always sort of had that bug for it. And the more I grew up, the more I realized that the world is massive. And I think I owed it to myself. And I say this to everyone, you owe it to yourself, go and see it because everywhere is so different.
Yeah.
And to just stay in the same place or go to the same holiday, you really don't see these things, and you can sort of realize how grateful you are to be alive and you are to have what you have, because when you go to some of these places, you realize how little they have, but how they make do and how happy they are. And like I say, I'm just so grateful to have been able to experience what I have so far. And it's given me so much growth and appreciation for life, I think.
Can we just clarify how old you are and how old you started?
So I'm 27, 28 in a couple months, but I first started traveling properly. I think it was 18 or 19. It was just before uni. Did a bit of interrailing with my two best mates at the time. It was absolutely brilliant. We loved it. We got the bug for it. Went around Europe. Very different to how I travel now. It was heavily drinking focused and partying and going out and chasing the night. But now when I travel, I'm looking at what experiences I can get from it, the feeling I'm going to get, if I want to chill out, where's going to be the best beach or where's going to be the nicest water. Very into scuba diving and things like that now. So it's where can I see the most exciting things and the most impactful things? And as I get older, I just want to see those big things you hear about when you're a kid and those bucket list chasing dreams. And that's what we've been doing now for the last 4 years, I guess.
Wow, that's really good. So would you say age does matter? What would you tell the others, when to start?
Do you know what? On this trip, we've met, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50-year-olds, and it's been everywhere in between. So whenever you feel ready and confident enough, just go for it. And if you don't feel confident, I'd say just go for it anyway, because you're going to gain confidence in those experiences. And people who go traveling, you learn so much about yourselves and how you want to be as a person, but also how you deal with being uncomfortable. Yeah. And there's so many times where I've been uncomfortable in situations or I've felt pressure. And it's been so exciting and so new to learn from those experiences. So, if you don't feel comfortable, you do. But if you have that desire or that itch to go do it, you just got to do it when you can and when you're ready.
Another thing you said, you've taken jobs and everything. I feel like a lot of people think, these rich people are going. Of course, they'd have got the money of the parents. What did you do to do the travels over these years? Did you also, when you were in these countries, did you work as well? Or where did you start from? Yeah,
well, I'm definitely not rich. And my parents didn't give me anything to do this. What I did is after uni, I realized that I could either go get a graduate job or I could get a normal job or whatever. But I felt I wasn't ready to fully commit and fully settle. And like I say, I had that itch to go and see the world. And what I did was I got a job at a bank nationwide, and I just worked for 6 months, and I knew that there was going to be something more. So I ended up just taking the leap and booking my visa to Australia and flights. And what I've been doing predominantly is working in banks in fraud. And that's been really helping me finance these big trips and these payouts. And as you well know, I've been dog sitting, and I'm sure you know about dog sitting now.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's such good money.
Exactly.
So it's like having 2 jobs, but almost you don't have to think,
Exactly.
Sometimes the dogs will just sit there by you and do nothing, or sometimes there'll be a nightmare and you've got your hands full, but it's such an easy passive income, and it also helps you get out of the house and go for walks, and stops you from going on these big nights, because you're not going to go out drinking all night when you've got a dog you need to be present for. So
or have to go back to as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's been nights where my partner and I will be on a night out, and she'll say, right, do one of us want to go home, or do you want to go home? And I would never like be that asked about staying, and like she was never either. So it's like every time we're like, yeah, good excuse. Let's go get food. Let's go home.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we'd always be doing that. And yeah, I mean, like I say, we just work, travel. And the last one to do the 9 months we just come back from, a lot of dog sitting, a lot of work, and then back here. And the plan will be to get a job when we settle into Canada, and then see what happens.
So what's the reason you actually want to like settle down in Canada, or how come? If you're comfortable saying, if not, we can.
No, you're all good. Big scary question, settle for me. I've never really been a settler. Like I do kind of enjoy the idea of something new, and maybe I'm a grass is always greener person, but obviously it's not. And you learn that as you go. Like you might go, I want to move because I'm not happy here, and you realize you had it good there. But I think Canada will be for now. We'll do 2 years, possibly get a third year on the visa. And then at that point, our next phase in our life, we believe, would be settling the careers, focusing on potentially having kids, getting married, and, you know, all the fun stuff we all look forward to doing.
Yeah.
I know it's a very far away, intense way to talk about things, but I sort of like have categorized my life a little bit into like, this is the growing and the traveling phase, and like doing everything I want to do and being selfish in that respect. So I know that at some point I'm passionate about having kids and I want to be a parent. So I know that phase is going to come, and I think about that in sort of what I do in terms of the long term. But for short term, it's going to be getting to Vancouver, having an amazing time, doing a bit of skiing and doing some hiking, things like that. And, get some new experiences, meet some new people, and then figure out the rest from there, I think.
Wow. Okay. That's very inspiring for others, I hope, anyway.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think it's more of a positive thing. If no one inspires and they just want to stay in one country, I find it quite sad, if I'm honest.
Yeah, each to their own. I get it.
You learn like different cultures, different people, different languages. Have you learned any languages actually out of curiosity now?
No, it's very arrogant as an English person to go everywhere and expect people to speak English.
Yeah.
What I do know is in South America, you can't always have that, and it's quite a Spanish focused place, and we've had a few friends that have been there, and they say learn a bit of Spanish, be respectful, you know, even if you get Google Translate, it's not always going to be easy for them to understand because they have their like native tongues of Spanish and so on, the different dialects. So learn a bit of Spanish and make a bit of an effort, because at the moment I can only speak English. Even at school, French was the thing I learned, but it's sort of in one.
Did you know
ear,
like a few words or anything you've learned along the ways?
So I think I can't remember if it's Thai or Vietnamese, and this is again my English arrogance. The only thing I remember is Kopum Ka, and I think it means hello.
Oh, okay.
Or it means thank you, and I've completely forgot on the spot. Pressure on me now, but
no, it's fine.
Someone correct us if you know it. But yeah, definitely don't know enough or don't know a lot. But there were a lot of people out there who were making an effort to learn please and thank you and things like that. But
that's really good though.
When you're moving around so much, it's like you don't have enough time. And I had Translate on my phone, and a lot of people spoke English.
Did you find it difficult?
The only time I found traveling or terms of communicating difficult were when we were in countries that were like less touristy. So Laos is known for being a bit less English touristy in the sense of not everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
And a lot of places in India, in particular, people didn't speak English, and there's a lot of dialects in India, and also a lot of different languages, let alone the dialects. So there was a lot of times we were on Google Translate and a little bit panicked, and you're having to like to say, oh, I want chicken, I want pig, and you go, I need to go to the toilet, and I'd be there going, I need to go to the toilet, and Eddie's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you acting that out? I'm like, I don't know.
You know how to ask.
It's good fun. It is good fun.
It's sometimes does shock me, do they not even know the word toilet? But then I'm not too surprised either, because certain villages never came across English.
No, I think toilet's an English thing, because if you say bathroom or washroom, sometimes that becomes more clear for them than other things. But I think the more I sort of act out in these very, very rare situations.
Do they tell you then what the word is, and then you kind of grasp? I know.
If their English is no good, like it's basically an acting out, miming sort of thing. But like that rarely happened, and like I'm very lucky that most of the places I went to, I didn't have any issues really with communicating. The occasional Translate when you might meet someone on the market trying to buy food, but very lucky that I didn't have any situations where I had no idea what was going on, and they didn't know any idea what I was trying to say. So that's
really good.
Very lucky.
Okay, with that, a few questions that you know already. How has your perspective on relationships evolved since you started traveling with your girlfriend? Yeah,
I mean massively, really, because at the start of our relationship.
Sorry, can I ask before that question? How did you meet your girlfriend?
So I
literally decided to go traveling as well. There's a lot of people I've met, and guys especially. I know it's like always the girls saying, hi, I really want to go like travel with my boyfriend, partner, fiance, husband, whatever. It's the guys like, nah, like I don't want to be always around her. Like, what's all this about? I don't want. They wouldn't even want to go on a holiday with the girls.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, I'm not like that. Like Ellie and I, we met, and our passion is travel. Like our shared passion, the biggest one is travel. So for me, we actually met up in Australia. I won't go that into detail on the story.
No.
It's not that interesting. But long story short, we met through a mutual friend, and she was sort of seeing someone. She'll say she wasn't seeing them, but like she had a little thing with someone, and like I did fancy her from the moment I sort of met her. So it was more like a case of like, I thought there was nothing ever going to happen. And one night, we were out with everyone, and like it just sort of got together, and then it progressed really, really quickly and really, really deeply and strongly. And I think both of us couldn't ignore those feelings. And although it was a bit overwhelming of how quick it went, and, you know, we were living together within 6 months or 7 months, like that's what happens in Australia because it's so cheap to do. People end up living with their partners arguably too soon. But for us, it was strength to strength. And going into the traveling thing, there was no sort of qualms. We weren't stressed about it or thinking that side of it. But yeah, we did a bit of traveling within like 2 months of seeing each other, 2 weeks, and we barely knew each other. And she said to her parents, like, I'm going traveling with this boy. And they're like, this boy? Like, who's this guy? Like, you don't know, at least show us a picture of him so we know what he looks like in case you go missing. I was like, oh, wow. Like,
I think that's a lot of fears out there. I mean, I've had stories where this girl, she went out with a boyfriend, she was missing, and
so
then
sad.
found, and all those kind of situations. I think that's why a lot of parents, I don't blame them. But at the same
100%.
time, you know, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky, let alone if she's lucky or not. But yeah, you hear horror stories, especially like places like India and stuff, for like female solo travelers or like female
human trafficking, especially.
It's honestly crazy, and like it was so impactful to see how women get treated on an extreme scale, because you always hear things online or even like through friends like, oh, I feel uncomfortable, this guy was staring at me, and you as a guy don't really understand that. You're like, oh well, I don't do it, so it can't be that bad because I haven't seen it. But to see hundreds and hundreds of men staring at her, taking videos of her, wanting photos of her. She got groped once, like she got followed.
Wow.
So all of that stuff really made me realize how bad women can get it, and like how respectful as men we need to be to not make someone feel uncomfortable. And just because you see something the way that you see it, it doesn't mean that's okay. No. You need to make sure that both people are comfortable. And yeah, I mean, at the end, she was basically like a pot in my pocket most of the time, because we were just so worried together that you know, someone might do something again. And like, it wasn't a holiday in India. It was you know, an intense travel trip, but grateful to have done it. Grateful to see more of my culture and that side. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I was sitting by a beach like you would in Thailand.
Exactly.
It was, you were looking
So
around.
from the beginning on, so when did you meet her? When did you guys actually?
So we've been together, always check my phone, my watch, sorry. About 2.5 years now. So we met in Darwin, like obviously got really strong. And then we realized our visa situation wasn't going to work in Australia long term. We might have to jump into a job that we didn't want to do. And I'm going very spiritual, and I'm sure people listening to this might laugh because they're like, oh, here we go. But the more I'm seeing things happen in front of me, and like things happen for a reason, the more I'm thinking, is this supposed to happen? So a lot of things happened in Australia where it aligned for us to leave, and we applied for our visas for Canada very quickly, and they normally take quite a while to come through. Ours come through straight away, and we did all the process very quickly, and we were granted the visas. And I said to Ellie, this has got to be a sign. We need to take it. We'll go for it. So yeah, we ended up agreeing to do it. There was a bit of back and forth because she nearly got sponsored, but it turned out to be a load of bollocks. Sorry if I swore.
No, it's fine. Honestly.
But yeah, she like wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not. And then for whatever reason, it didn't. And we realized we were going to go traveling. So that's why I said about the saving for the trip. We put heads down properly and really went for it. And then, going into the trip, we went in November, and I mean, we've definitely come back as different people in some respects. And again, people might laugh at that, but like there was so much learning on the trip about ourselves, about each other, and about how you see things in the world. It was crazy, but very grateful to have done it.
Wow. I think I found it quite interesting. I know a lot of, I think mainly for girls, and I think there's a minority of men, they won't speak up about it, but how quickly a relationship can move into, like, I mean, meeting your brother after 5 years, and then we haven't been, not together since January.
Yeah.
And then moving in, I've always wondered, but I made a mistake in the past where a guy asked me, let's move in, and it just went absolutely downhill.
Sure.
So this time when he obviously asked me, I was like, I don't know, but let's just go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was the best decision ever. So So what would you like advise people to go for it, to wait, or I mean,
yeah, it's a tough one because everyone's different and each relationship's different. But I always think trust your gut. And if you have a good feeling about it, give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, it's learning.
Yeah.
You can just learn from that experience and hopefully you'll not make the same mistake twice. You'll learn from it and you become a better person for it. So like I say, we jumped into it, but we know people that have also jumped into it and now are no longer together because it was too intense. They might move out and they might try again. And sometimes it's worked, sometimes it's not. But understanding your partner, being able to communicate and just having that respect as much as you can has really helped us, because when things haven't gone how I would want them to or vice versa, we've been really strong at communicating.
That's really good.
I'm not saying we're perfect by any means because we've got so much to work on personally, but like, yeah, it really helped that if something was wrong, one of us would be able to say, look, what's going on? Like yin and yang, like we're very much yin and yang. And when you meet her, you'll realize it's very yin and yang.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cute. I mean, we've covered this a little bit, but what personal challenges have you overcome during your travels? But how did it affect your relationship?
So for me, I have a very anxious mind, and I spend a lot of my time trying to control my anxious mind. And, you know, at some point I'd love to not have that anxious mind. I know it will come, but I struggle to sit down and just do nothing quite a lot. So for me, it's been about learning to not do everything I want to do all the time and make sure that it's, you know, it's a balance of what we both want to do and not always getting upset if things aren't going the way I want them to.
Yeah.
That's been a big challenge for me. Is I don't think I'm perfect, but I like to think that what I'm doing is with good intentions. So if someone doesn't do what I want them to do, sometimes I find that very tough. And that's not just with Ellie, it's with friends and family and things like that. So this trip involved a lot of compromise from both sides, because at the end of the day, as aligned you might be as a couple, you're not always going to want to do the same things.
No.
And most of the time we're both really chilled out. So like someone goes, I want to go to the beach today. For me, it's like, well, I want to go to the gym first, but then the rest of the day is at the beach. It's no problem. I've got that anxious feeling out of me. I've got that energy out of me. So it's just been a lot of compromise, and the communication side has really helped, because if I'm not feeling great one day, I'll be able to communicate that with her. And she makes me feel validated and she makes me feel heard. And that's very important, because if I don't feel heard, I think that's when the problems could really start to happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's really good, to be honest. How do you manage the stress or tough situations when you're on the road?
So, you know, I touched on that in the last question a little bit, but for me, stress, if I am stressed, I find that exercise is very good, and being outside tends to help a lot. So if there is a stressful situation, usually it's probably to do with the fact that I haven't been to the gym or done some sort of exercise, or I haven't been hydrating properly, or I haven't been outside that long or that well. So when those situations happen, sometimes I've lost my head. I can be a big baby. You know, anyone will tell you I can be a diva sometimes. And like, from where I am now to where I was, the change is massive. So like I used to be a right diva, and like I would kick off and I would say I was sometimes quite difficult. I could be difficult because I wasn't able to control my emotions. And, you know, probably in the 9 months we traveled this time, I probably had 2 or 3 tantrums. Not, you know, it's not horrible. It's just grow up, stop being a baby. Like, it's not my fault.
How did Ellie deal with that?
Ellie's very calm. She's a very calm person. And Ellie, when she's not, you know, having her tantrums, or like she's not upset about something, is the best person to sort of, I could just scream and shout at her if I wanted to. And she'd just take it all in, listen, and she'd be able to like communicate back and go, right, are you ready to have the conversation, or do you feel better? So when I'm in those moods, and vice versa, if she goes into those moods, and she won't mind me saying this, when, you know, when she's not 100% happy, we're both able to like let them take it in and make sure they, like I say, feel heard. And then, you know, I've had enough experience with relationships and people and my own mental health to be able to like use some of the techniques I've learned to give it back and apply it, and hopefully find the outcome. But, you know, nothing's perfect, and like there's always stuff to work on. So for us, it's like, this is how we are now, but we know we can be so much better. And there's nothing wrong with my relationship, but I don't believe anything is perfect. I believe everything
is better.
Yeah, there's something better coming, and you can work on that to be that better.
So I guess you're applying the grass is greener in your own relationship.
100%. Like I know that like I'm not the best version of myself, and I'm not going to speak for Ellie, because to me, like she's everything I could ask for in a person, and she compliments me very well. But I know that I can give her and myself and others so much more, and I continue to be a better person. So there's so much work to be done for me, and I can't wait to see what that is, and like see how that feels, and see what other people feel off that energy.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh. How do you balance your need for personal space with your constant togetherness while traveling?
So this was actually, because obviously you sent me a couple of them prior. I actually said this one to Ellie, and we're like, we don't have personal space. Like we like being with each other all the time. It's not like if like we get, it's like if we're like we know we're not going to be going out and doing anything in the evening. There's been occasions where we might, this is bad, and I know this is bad, but we'll sit on our phones and like we might not talk for the evening, but because we're not big drinkers and it sounds ungrateful. There's only so many sunsets you can see. There's not always too much to do in the accommodation that we were staying in. So what we would end up doing is we might sit on our phones or watch something. On the rare occasion, watch something separately. And there's a couple of times where I met some lads and I went out and socialised with them, and she wasn't up for it, or there wasn't any people on her level, so she wouldn't necessarily come. But once or twice that happened. So the personal space thing for anyone would be a big issue. What I would say is, like, if you do feel you need personal space, go for that walk, go sit on the beach on your own. Like, you could do 2 different things that day. Like, there's always a way to break up the intensity of being with someone all the time. But we're very lucky. We're actually going to find the 10 days we're not together harder than the 9 months being together every day.
Yeah.
We feed off each other's energy. So like,
it's like something's missing.
Yeah. It's like when I'm not with her, it's like that my better part of me isn't here. So yeah, for sure. Like sometimes personal space is good. And I would go to the gym on my own sometimes when Ellie wasn't asked. And like, we'd have that moment and then we'd come back, or she'd go for a run or whatever. And like, we'd come back and
that's really good.
Yeah. Yin and yang.
I think some people need to really take example on that.
Well, I don't know, but
I think it should, because I feel like majority of this comes from guys. Okay. They're like, I need my personal space. I need guy time. I need my guy holiday, which is absolutely fair enough. But I think there's a limit when the girls like, we haven't done any quality times. Like, I get that. And they're like, what quality times? We live together. Like that, just because I've had the situation as well. I think there was something with, what was it? With me and Sam, something that was happening. And I was always picture my sister. And my sister goes, you guys live together. And I was like, so? But we didn't have an argument. I think I was just like playing around, messing around or something. I was like, you guys live together. It doesn't matter. I'm like, no, it does matter. Just because we live together, that doesn't mean we're doing quality times. There's something 100%. More and do other things. So, but I feel like some guys like, no, I need my own man time.
I get that. Okay. And I think both male and female time, or like time away from your partner with other people or on your own, is important, because there's been times where Ellie has interests or like things she wants to do which are better suited to her female group of friends. I love that for her. She goes away, she does that, she comes back and she's so happy to tell me about what she's done, and vice versa. I'll go out with the lads and talk absolute nonsense for a few hours or whatever, or, you know, muck around outside or whatever, you know, like the stupid stuff we do. And I'll come back and I'm excited to tell her and she's excited to listen. And it's like
just different
you break
experiences. It's quite nice as well.
For sure. And you appreciate someone when they're gone as well. Well, you should do if they're important to you.
Exactly. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
An interesting one, I kept thinking about it. How do you handle homesickness or missing familiar comforts while you're on the road?
Yeah, so this was, I'm probably not the best person to ask about this because, and I'll tell you why, I have never really felt like I had a home in the sense of, obviously I had a loving home and it was great, but like I never really felt at home in England. So when I moved, I never missed England. What I missed was the people and my family and so on. So what I did as we go with the COVID thing, and when that happened, I didn't get to see mum and dad and Sam and everyone for so long. You sort of cope with it because you make the extra time to do the FaceTimes and stuff. And obviously physical touch and being with someone is important. You get a feel of their energy and whatnot. But what we did is we knew obviously when we were going to see them next. So you just have to sort of work and try and stay present and go, right, I'm in this moment. It's amazing. I'm not going to not see them again. You might not, but like at this point in time, I'm not going to not see them again. I'm working to that point, but I'm having the best time now.
Exactly.
Be present and just enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, every time I come home, I'm so excited to see everyone. Yeah. And I know that like a few days before, you're sort of like, stay present, enjoy where you are. Like you might never be here again, but you're so buzzing to be back home with everyone. So like, then the feelings start coming in, but I'm very good at like separating things. So now I've left Australia, I don't have that like, oh, I miss it. Like, I want to be there. Like I want to be with everyone. Love the people there, love my time there, but like it's gone now. And for me, I'm able to like move past those things, but I know some people do find that tough. And what I would say is like, just find what works for you. Like if you need that extra FaceTime, take it. If you're having a down day, be honest about it. And if you're traveling with a partner or a friend, hopefully they can comfort you enough for you to be able to cope with it. But
Yeah.
it's only temporary and life's so short. So it will all go so quick. And when we get a little bit older, you'll look back and like, why was I upset for a week when I was going to see my parents in a month? Like,
It's just living the moment.
be present as much as you can and like just take in where you are, because 9 times out of 10, if you're away from home, it's probably somewhere amazing. So just try and enjoy it for what it is.
That's good. What role do you think trust plays in your traveling lifestyle?
That's a tough question, because like, I think for me, I hate not being in control. And again, that's not a great trait, and I'm fully aware of that. But again, it's something I'm working on. But I tried to plan our trip to the T, and I tried to plan it day by day, week by week. And, you know, people who know me will probably laugh like, yeah, it's typical Tom. Like, I've got friends who tell me what they're doing in a year's time. I've got people who can't tell me what they're doing tomorrow. But for me, it's like, I like to know, I like to have that security. And sometimes you have to trust that other people are going to sort out things for you, or you got to trust that it's going to be all right. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So it was, sometimes I had to let go and trust the process and trust in the universe that like everything's going to be
How's
okay.
that going for you?
Better.
Is it?
Better.
I think I need some tips because I hate it.
For sure.
I think more like Sam just goes, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got one extreme with Sam who's very stoic and able to like not let things get to him, it's very powerful, because everyone else is like, how are you able to do that? Like, this is important to me, and like, I need it to be this way. I need it to go this way. And the reality is you can only control what you can control. And you can't control other things. Like, flights get cancelled, bookings change, like trips don't go the way you want them to. And like, people aren't who they're supposed to be in your head.
Yeah.
But like, you've just got to like try and just focus on what's important and what you can control. And that there has been some challenges on the trip, like things, I wasn't confirmed things until the very last minute, or like bookings, or like, I mean, Ellie had some tattoos she was getting, and like, she didn't know about them until the very last minute. If it's all confirmed, it's going to be what she wants. And like, you just got to trust that it's all going to be all right. Like, if you keep that positive mind frame until something goes wrong, it's probably going to be all right anyway.
Yeah.
And you're like, why did I stress over nothing? So
exactly.
Yeah, each day is different, but yeah, trying to get better.
That's good. That's the point anyway. That's why you always got a tomorrow. So
for sure.
How do you handle cultural differences and adapt yourself to the new environments together as well, or individual? For
sure. So like I already mentioned, India was crazy. Like, I've never felt like a minority before, and like, I've never felt uncomfortable. But when we got to India, the culture shock is so crazy. And it's probably the worst place to go for your first time in Asia, because it's so culturally diverse. It's so busy and densely populated, and the quality of living there is just so different to what you're used to. So we felt very uncomfortable, and like at some points you were almost scared to leave the house. And I left to try and go to a gym, and I was told to go away, and like people were a little bit shouty, screamy, and they get in your face. The culture is, you know, it's in your face. So every day got easier, but the start was very bad. And like in India, we even thought about flying to Bangkok in Thailand earlier because we felt so uncomfortable. But you know, we worked it out together, and you know, we fed off each other, and we managed to get through it. And in the end, you know, we had a really unforgettable time there. But every culture is different. You know, you drive an hour up the road in England, let alone in Asia, and it's different. It's not you know, crazy different, but it's different. And you meet so many amazing and different people, and you've just got to like embrace it, you know, because you're not going to see this again potentially, and you're not used to it. So it's like, they eat in a certain way, they eat this food, they talk like this, they take their shoes off in certain places. It's like you get all these different experiences all over Asia, and it's like you just have to really embrace it and really recognize that, like, when have you ever experienced this before?
It's interesting.
For sure.
It's very interesting. What advice would you give to other couples thinking about embarking on long-term travel together?
Yeah, okay. So we know quite a lot of people who have traveled for long term, because we started this travel account. It was supposed to be like a time capsule, but we ended up starting it, and like people encouraged us, why don't you try and make a thing of it, give it a go? And we did, and it wasn't really for us. It became a chore rather than a pleasure. And we speak to all these people who now live in Thailand, or they're like nomad doing the living, and they're remote working. And I think you've just got to like take the leap of faith if you want to, but have a little bit of an awareness of what you're doing, and like have a little bit of research into it prior. You could just go for it and wing it, and like, it might be fine. But for me, I would always want to know the risks, and I would always want to know what each country can offer you in terms of visas, in terms of the cost of living and things like that. So if you do want to long-term travel, make sure you've really researched it, because sometimes we meet people who like went on a whim and like they got themselves in trouble every now and then. So just have a little bit of research into it. And if it's your passion, you've got to take it, because you'll spend the rest of your life having that what if feeling. So you've got to go for it if that's what you want to do. But if you don't, then like you might have that feeling, like I say.
Yeah. Okay. What's one of your biggest lessons you've learned about love and partnership from your travels?
Another tough question.
That's
Like, I think what I think I said this one to Ellie, and I don't know what she said about the answer. I can't remember what she said, but I said to her, like, love, I don't think love is one thing. And like what I realized is you can continuously love someone and your love can change. And like, that's not a bad thing or a good thing, but I love Ellie more every day. And I love my family and friends every day. And I love different things about them. So like for me, love is evolving, and like following your dreams is amazing. And when you get to share that with someone and share those experiences with someone, you can look back and think, oh, I love that we did that together. Or like, I love that moment is now with us forever. So just trying to recognize that like nothing is permanent, like things change and things move on. And yeah, like I say, the more present you are, the more you can take these moments in. And we've experienced some amazing things together. And like, we know that we've only hit the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come for what we want to do and see. And like the love that we'll have for each other, you know, the end of life is going to be so different to what it is now. I'm excited to see how those feelings evolve and feelings for everyone and everything evolve as we get older.
You're almost literally writing a whole love letter to Ellie now.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to be cringing when they listen to it. But
I think it's important to people hear it anyway. They always see the tough side of men. So it's quite nice to see a totally different side. Yeah, so I think it's all going to be like females like, why can't you be like this?
I don't know. I think I've had so much time to reflect and like so much time to meet these people and talk about how we're traveling together and stuff like that. And I just realized how grateful I am for her, and like grateful I am to have that yin to my yang sort of thing. Yeah. And I know that I can be quite an annoying, difficult person sometimes. I like to wind people up, but to have someone to tolerate that, I'm just grateful that like I've managed to find that, and I've managed to be able to pursue what I want to do while enjoying that side of life as well. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like I said to you at the start, there's definitely been challenges in the relationship, and like every relationship goes through challenges, and it's how you deal with them that defines you. It's, you know, you can run away from them or you can tackle them head on and like grow together. And it's exciting to be able to grow together rather than give up and just move on to the next thing.
I was going to ask with that, what's one thing you appreciate the most about traveling with your girlfriend?
I think it's the fact that we were able to like remove ourselves from a lot of situations where we weren't feeling good about them. So a lot of the time there were a lot of people who were traveling who sort of went traveling for the party, and like they were a little bit younger than us, and that's not to like put someone down for their age at all, but people, when I was 18 and like 20 or whatever, my mindset was like, let's go out, let's have a party. But like my mindset has changed from that. So having someone who aligned with that, we were able to pull ourselves away, go get a nice meal, or like spend our money on the activities and like the experiences, rather than being able to do both. We were more concerned with like making sure our money was used wisely, because 9 months is such a long time. I was grateful that I had Ellie there to say, right, you're not going to miss out. You're not going to be left on your own. You're not going to sit in a hostel room on your own, which is what you would do if you weren't traveling with your partner. So yeah, we were able to like just sneak off and no one would know, which was pretty handy on a lot of times, to be honest.
I'm going to have to find some questions. I guess, obviously now you've got Ellie. Let's go back to old times. Old Tom.
Yeah.
So, give us a little sneak peek on your worst relationship where you felt like, oh, now you shouldn't be laughing there. We do have Sam in the room in the background, making it not easy. Where you felt like, now looking back, you just feel like just giving a bit of a knock on your own head.
It's crazy because I've had 3 significant relationships and I've definitely improved each one. But like, you know, like I said earlier, I don't think I'm perfect, and I think there's definitely stuff I need to work on. But I got with someone very young and we were both very like passionate, and, you know, we broke up and got back together more times than we were probably together. You know, it was crazy and it was fiery, and I did things that like I shouldn't have done. You know, I cheated on her. Like, as soon as we break up, I'd be moving on to the next thing. And there were times where she retaliated. You know, she did sleep with one of my best mates at the time and kissed a few friends and like ruined those things for me. And I've held on to that trauma up until recently. And, you know, I've moved on from the situation, but I saw a spiritual healer recently and they said that you've still got trauma from past relationships and experiences that you haven't fully let go of. And I completely get it now, because I'll sit there sometimes and my anxious brain will work away at me.
Yeah.
And I'll start thinking about things that happened 10, 15 years ago. And I thought, you know, I've moved on from it. But those feelings and that energy that you're carrying, if you're able to think back to them, you haven't moved on from it. And it's been really powerful to be told that without realizing it. So, yeah, I mean, the relationship was I think the only word to describe it, and you ask anyone, is toxic. And most of it was probably my fault, because like I say, I was a very emotional and hormonal young lad who was probably way too horny for his age than he should have been. And yeah, I mean, got myself into situations and didn't treat her how she deserved to be treated, or how I'd want my mum to be treated, you know, or my sister. I don't have a sister, but you know, how I'd want a woman to be treated.
Your own daughter, for example.
For sure. And when I realized all of that, and you know, we met up before I left to go to Australia, and we had a nice like chat, and we got that closure. It was important, because you know, she lost her dad during the time we were together, and there's all these emotional things happened. I had stuff going on at home, and we were able to be there for each other. So really key moments in our lives happened during that time, and to not have treated her how she deserved to be treated in those moments was wrong of me, and I would never do that to someone now. And after that, I got into another relationship, but it was probably the darkest period of my life mentally, and I lost my friendship group from home for a period of time, and you know, stuff was going on at home, so I had that to deal with, and she became my carer rather than my girlfriend. And I think, probably doesn't now, she probably moved on from it because she's probably not as emotional as I am. I don't think many people are, but she probably resented me at the end, and we ended up separating. I think we were only together for about a year or 2 years. I can't remember now. That's bad, but yeah, can't remember. But yeah, I mean, I didn't treat her always the way she should have been treated. I became very much like this, rather than, you know, the ups and the downs. And that was due to the medication and getting fat and just stopped caring about life. And at the end of our relationship, I decided to make a change, and I went off my medication, and I was seeing counsellors on and off. I've been seeing counsellors on and off since about 14, 15, and no one really hit the nail on the head. But this one, when I was with her, did. And I had to, you know, we ended up separating because I think she just had enough, and I understand that. And then we tried to get back together, and I was in such a different place and headspace where I realized that this relationship was wrong, and I think she did as well, and we weren't together again. And yeah, I had so much time then between my last relationship and this one where I really worked on myself. I saw counsellors, I worked on how I treat other people. And, you know, there's still been times in between that where I've probably not treated girls as well as I should do, because I always knew that they were for now, not forever. And it was a bit of fun. And, you know, sometimes I could have treated people a lot better. And that, and you know, that's okay. You're gonna do things that aren't always perfect. But going into this relationship, I really wanted to make sure in my head that I'd remember everything I did was wrong. And I knew that, and I'd changed so much from my first relationship to how I am now that, you know, I've took all those lessons with me. And that's why I believe that my relationship now is so strong. I also believe that because of the trauma I've had, I can really communicate my feelings a lot better. And I'm passionate about helping other people and making sure they don't have to go what I went through. So we worked on things together, and I've worked on things on my own and with my friends, and, you know, they're my best friends again. So I've done so much growth from now to when I started secondary school, when I was a little naughty boy. And yeah, I've done so much growth between now and then that I'd like to think, when I look back at myself in 30 years, I'd be proud of who I am now. Yeah. So yeah, but I 10 years ago, was I proud of who I was? Or 15 years ago? Definitely not. But I was a young kid mucking around, not knowing wrong or right really in that respect. So sometimes you have to go through that to become who you are today. And it's part of my story, and I wouldn't change any of it, because it would mean that I might not be here today. I'm sure that, you know,
it's true.
Everyone has trauma, right? And everyone has bad relationships and bad things in their relationships. It's just mine were made very public and on stage for everyone to see a lot of the time. And, you know, things on social media, and all my friends sort of knew about them because I'm an open book, and I tell people things when I'm upset. So yeah, for right or wrong. And Sam was every step of the way with me, hearing about them when I talked to mum and dad about them. And he'd just be there like, why have you brought her back again? Like, why are you back together again?
I can literally see that.
The young Sam, who wasn't very stoic then, even knew then, why are you making the same mistakes?
Oh, bless him. I guess with that, now that you're mentioning your brother Sam, tell us a little bit about Sam.
Well, obviously I've known him a little bit longer than you, but
Yeah.
I think you're probably at this point now where you know him a lot better than me. And that's obviously because I've not been around for 4 years, but the person he was when I left versus the person he is now, yin and yang, two different people. And I think that he's come such a long way with his confidence and the way he carries himself and the way he's able to communicate with people when things aren't going the way that they may necessarily should do, or how he is. It's been very powerful, and I'm very happy for him that he's found what he wants to be doing with his podcast and trying to help people and going through this phase in his life where he's going to go into the next phase, a very strong person. And when I went to see the spiritual healer, she actually said that your brother's completely in line with what he needs to be doing, and everyone needs to leave him alone. Stop needing attention off him all the time, and stop asking him what he's doing, and like blah blah blah. Just let him crack on. And when you're in a better place yourself, you will align back to him again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
People will come back and it will be like she said, Sam sees the world like this, and most people see it like this.
One way.
So
yeah.
I'd like to say I'm not like this most of the time. I understand that, sometimes I can have strong views, but Sam's very able to see it like that, and he won't tell you you're wrong. He'll recognize what you're saying, and that's very powerful, because a lot of people enjoy telling people they're wrong about things and making themselves feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few people I know, if I told him the earth is flat, he would say, okay, and why do you think that is, instead of you're wrong?
Yeah. No, that's true. So all these times when you traveled, obviously, did you ever feel like, I wish Sam was here? Like your brother?
Obviously. There's been moments for sure, because Sam and I have very similar humor, and there'll be like times where we'll just start laughing and mum and dad will be like, what? And like they don't always understand, or they do, but whatever. There's definitely been moments where I think Sam would really enjoy this, and some of the more impactful stuff, like seeing all the ancient buildings we've seen and the monuments and eating some of the food we've eaten and the experiences, you'd love to share them with your family, but it's not always possible. And for whatever reason, I am where I am now, and he is on the path he is now, and I wouldn't change that, because that's what he wants to do. And obviously he's gone through such a big change in his life, and he's had things happen to him which he delves into on his podcast and potentially on yours that have made him who he is. So it would have been great to have him there. I know one day we'll do a trip together, and I've already told him.
I was gonna say, like, would you ever go with a brotherly trip? Yeah,
for sure. It doesn't just have to be me and him. It could be me, him, and like the partners. It could be me, him, and the kids, or the mum and dad, or it could be me, him, and a load of the lads. Like I keep saying to him, I want to do Everest Base Camp. I think he's on board with it, but like we'll see. When
what's the base camp?
Everest Base Camp, so Mount Everest.
Oh,
sorry. You can do like a trek to it, and you can start where you want. You can long it out and go start in India or whatever. But I'd love to do that, and I think that's a very physical trip. So I think that would something Sam would benefit from and enjoy, because it won't be focused on drinking or partying, which I know that he's not aligned with anymore.
Definitely away from that.
Yeah, so for sure, it'd be really nice if Sam came and like did that with me, and that could be a 35th birthday or a 40th birthday or like whatever. But like that would be something I'd like to do with him. Whereas like a lot of the time, like sitting on the beach and like doing all these things, it'd been really nice to share those beautiful sunsets and sunrises and things like that with Ellie. So definitely some times where it'd be cool if he could have came. And I think as we get older and money becomes less of a thing, I think we'll be able to do those things together.
As an older brother, as the eldest as well, how do you feel? Have you like your responsibility with siblings, with your younger brother?
Because we're only a year and a half apart, I think Sam's been very fortunate to learn from my mistakes. And there's been a lot. So I've done stupid things, and like Sam hasn't really done any of the things to the extreme I have. He's obviously had things he's done and things that have happened to him that he may think, oh, was that good? Was that bad? But I think he's been really able to learn off of those experiences. But there's never been moments where I tell him what to do or tell him how to live, because Sam's very headstrong and sure of himself. So he's able to make those decisions for himself, and I respect that, because he's his own person, as I would anyone. But I've never really felt the older brother thing, because he's in my friendship group. It's his friendship group. It's our friendship group. So it's like hanging around with your mate. Yeah. And I see a lot of my mates as my brothers now. Yeah. That's how that relationship is. So, if I say I'm seeing my family, they would be part of that conversation. So for Sam, it's like he's not just my younger brother. He's one of my best mates. So like, it's not like I'm talking down to him. I don't know what it's like in your dynamic at home.
It's very different.
Is it?
It's just, yeah.
In what sense?
I think, but to be honest, very similar to you. They've seen the mistakes I've done. They're like, oh, should we do this well? I'm like, you are not doing that. Just because do as I say, not do what I'm, like, do as you're told, not what I do. So there's been like, what was it? Like nearly a month, a few weeks now. My sister's always on the phone. And she will ask in the background because I told Sam to do something or like doing something. She was like, don't get your older sister or your mommy coming out. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? My sister is literally only 2 years younger than me.
Sure.
My brother's 3 years younger than me. So we're all in the same age group, but they see me more as a parent than my own parents.
Right, okay.
So my sister is very much of a mini-me. Like, it's like she will hold my pinky and be like, where are we going? What are we doing? I would have to have a chat with them. They're more scared of me if they're getting a phone call from me than from my parents.
Really? Okay.
They'd be like, we've done something wrong. She's calling. Like, what's gone wrong? I'll have the chat with them. But when I'm with them, I can feel like a child. So they call me childish. They were like, yeah, no, she's different. Unless I know it's serious.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, we're getting this things together. So yeah, that's why when the bossy mode's coming out, like, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. And also I'm very controlling when it comes to organizing something. So yeah, I'm not really a sister. I'm more of a mother.
Okay.
Which is a bit annoying, but...
Is that annoying because the situation's been created, or is it annoying because you feel the pressure of doing that?
It's the pressure of the parents, my upbringing, the English barrier, obviously, with my parents. So, I had to read and translate by the age of 4 and 5. Okay. So it's like, and I think there's a lot of families like getting branded of saying, yeah, we're gone, you're going to have to take care of your siblings. It's always been like that. So making sure there's a space, they're good, money, food, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, but I am slowly learning that they have to rely on themselves first. Sure. And if I did say I'm the last resort, but they know this. That's why if I get a phone call, I know something's wrong. Yeah. And they can't deal with it. So I'm there for them. It's nice. A shame if I'm not like there because they live up north and I'm up down here. So if something happens, I do feel bad. Like, I don't want to live in the UK forever. So I want to move country. Yeah. My sister's already stressed about that. It's like, what if something happens? And I'm like, nothing will happen. But I get that. For me, it will hold me back and I can't live my life like that. Feeling held back, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
And you're not the only person who feels like that. Everyone I speak to, especially in the UK, and they're like, I really want to go traveling with my family or like my friends. I don't want to leave them. I feel responsibility to be here. And I would hate to be that person who looks back at 60, 70 and has that, like I said earlier, the what if feeling. Like, why didn't I do this for me? It's your life at the end of the day. And if they're important enough to you, they'll always be there. It's just obviously the relationship change and people change. So it's not going to be how it was, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I think last year before I met Sam, and I had a situation with my ex back then before we got together again. And there was a... I know that one. Looking back now, literally you said, like, I wish I took it. It was a relocation job to Portugal, which I've always wanted to live as well. At that time, I did have a dog. And they couldn't cover to have the dog relocated, but I had the money to get him with me. But at that time, my ex then, he wasn't in a great mental state and he said he was only able to talk to me and stuff. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. And my gut was like, so I should have listened to my gut and just went for it. Yeah. But my heart was like anxious, so I rather listened to that. And I didn't take it. It went back together because it made him feel better. Yeah. It did make him feel better. Yeah. But I got treated shit. Like, absolutely, I lost myself and everything. And then I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm absolutely breaking. It ended up very badly. And then I was only like amicably trying to, because I was in the area and I was focusing on myself. And now, obviously, I'm out of that state. I will talk about it absolutely fine. But if I hear his name or anyone talk about it, I get angry. But in those kind of situations, I'm just like, I don't need to hear about it. I don't need to know about it. Nothing, but I can't stop from others just mentioning either. Sure, yeah. But if it's my friends, I'm like, you know it, why are you mentioning it? Okay, so you've got some growth for yourself to do, for sure. Exactly. Let go of that feeling, and like, it might not be in the front of your mind, but it's there. And once you let go of that, you'll probably find that a space in your head opens up for something that you can enjoy a lot more. Exactly. So it's just like, it will happen with time, but it's like, I'm talking about that situations or experience to my brother or my sister. My brother's, I know for a fact, like, he wants to speak about his side.
And I do find guy sides quite interesting, how they
Yeah.
grow, because no one's
Yeah.
talking about man's mental health.
No.
And he's a huge advocate about it, like you and Sam as well. So it's good to know about it. Whereas me and my sister's very open. She's a very emotional girl.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that about her. I am someone, I think it's because I never want my brother, my sister, or my close friends or partner to see me cry.
Yeah.
So I cry on my own. I'm like, I need to get this
okay.
out. I don't want them to see
Yeah.
weakness. But I am learning slowly where I'm like, I have to show it as well. But at the same time, I feel so weak because all I hear my parents saying, well, you need to step up.
Yeah.
Not like, man is like man up, but as a woman it's like, you need to step up. You're the eldest. You need to do better. You can't be crying like this.
Yeah.
So then you stop when you do it. So I love the fact my brother's very expressive. My sister's very expressive as well. So when I tell them about it, for me hoping, don't do what I've done. Be better about it.
Yeah.
So, but I have learned I need to let them do what they need to do to get through that experience. She was with an ex and she would call me crying about it, and I would say like, in the beginning I would say, you need to break up. She was like, I don't want to. And Sam was like, you need to just let her do what she wants to do. So
Yeah,
the
for
next
sure.
time she asked me, can you not say break up? I just want you to talk about something. I'm like, okay, cool. I listened the whole time. She was like, I'm very surprised you've actually listened. I'm not wanting to stop me. And I was like, yeah, and she was like, yeah, it's thanks to Sam, literally. I was like, great, thanks. And I listen now. So after that, months later now, after they broke up, she's like, I wish I listened to you. I'm like, yeah, but now, you can tell a narcissist from far away. You've learned, yes, your heart's broken, but it's not shattered. It'll be fine.
That's powerful.
Yeah, so it hurts me when I see siblings or my close friends, like when they go through something like that. But something, again, growth, and I'm learning, is it bothers me that they never take my advice. This is exactly what I knew would have happened because I had it, but at the same time, I can't do that because I am where I am right now because of the other situation. If it didn't happen, I would know better.
Yeah.
So I can't stop that from them to experience that as well. So
No, I get it. And like, I think something you touched about earlier is like, it actually shows a lot of strength to be vulnerable. So first of all, having that opportunity to be vulnerable to someone brings you closer together. And because you care so much, you're then like, I want to help fix this, but people have to make their own mistakes. And like, you can learn from other people's mistakes or you can't. And a lot of people tend to, see it, but not really take it in.
Yeah.
So they'll just do their own thing. But if you can really look around you and look at other people and look at what's happened prior, you'd probably find that a lot of people wouldn't get themselves into these messes in the first place. But
exactly, that's the thing.
There
like,
you go.
It is sometimes when people say, teachers, for example, say like, well, I've learned this and I'm teaching you what I know. But sometimes teachers won't give you all the answers and you have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
You have to.
For sure.
Certain people are just used to. Sometimes my brother and my sister never asked me, what do you want me to do? That's when I learned, or I kind of saw, I'm telling them what to do, but they never asked me. That's why I had to step back.
Yeah.
They did get used to very much. I think my sister went downhill when I moved out when I was 19
Big
to
change.
uni.
Yeah, okay.
And me and her were always together, like sharing rooms, playing together. But when I moved out, she would always call at night times and she'd be like, I'm all by myself. And that was maybe for 2 years. She's gone into certain things like mental health was changed. My brother was very upset as well because that's when I realized I was the anchor for the family.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't be that. I've never lived my life until I was 19.
Right.
I left around 19, 20. That's when I started drinking, to be fair. Literally, I didn't want to drink before 18 anyways.
Okay, yeah.
So I would always tell my brother and my sister as well, don't drink when you're underage. Don't do that, please. And that's one of the good things I'm proud of. They never have.
That's nice.
To be honest, my brother doesn't drink anymore. My sister doesn't drink and smoke anymore. I'm the only one doing both. But if I see them doing it, I'm not happy and they know it. Because I'm like, just because I'm doing it, I don't want you to do it. So I'm glad about that. But they've grown. And seeing that makes me proud. So what do you, I'm assuming you're proud of Sam.
For sure. And like what he's doing now is he's trying to help people.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do in life is like trying to help people, in my opinion. But it's also amazing that the fact he's following his passion.
Yeah.
It's like he's helping people and it's his passion. So like that's such a rewarding feeling that like if just one person benefits from one thing he says or from one of his podcasts, he's already done a great job.
Exactly.
The fact that he's going to release so many, the scope of it could be incredible. It could be huge. And you've just got to keep at it and keep going and keep patient. And I've done 2 things now myself, not to turn this around about me, but
It is all about you.
Well, it's all about you. It's the cherry bomb.
And I'm making it all about you.
Great. But yeah, I mean, I tried to do a travel account, like I said earlier, with Ellie.
Oh yeah, what's the travel account called, by the way?
Telly's Travels.
There you go, guys. You can go and follow it.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to revert back to just a time capsule. But the first thing I did was called the Societal Network. And what it was me being very open about my mental health on it. Wow. And me talking about experiences I've had and how they benefited me. And I did really well with it. I mean, in the space of 2 or 3 months, I nearly got to 1,000 followers. And like people go, well, that's not that good. But like, if you understand social media and how saturated markets are now, you'd understand that's not too bad.
Yeah.
So I've tried to do what Sam's doing. I wanted to start a podcast, and I realized the challenges ahead were too strong for what position I was in at the time and with traveling and stuff. So for him to have been talking about this for so long, and I think he says it in his first podcast with Mitch, he says, I just should have done it straight away and learned as he went. But the timing wasn't right. And, you know, you trust your gut, and for whatever reason, things happened. And he's at the point now where he's able to do it. And just listening from the first one, like I said to you guys yesterday, the first one he did with Mitch to the last clip of one, which was with you on your first episode when that comes out, or the second, I'm not sure which one it was. But the confidence, the composure, and the ability to bounce off each other was incredible. And like, you've got to be so proud of where you come and remember these moments and remember the first moment, and make sure you do look back on it, because you'll appreciate how far it's gone and how far you've come. And when you're passionate about things, you'll give off a better energy, and you'll give off better intentions, and people will resonate with that, and the right people will tune in at the right time, and it'll grow from there, is my belief.
It's absolutely true. To be honest, I remember him talking about last year, December. He was saying podcast. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I've met so many people, they just talk. There's no actions at all.
100%.
So I was like, okay, well, let's see how it works. Well, because he's already had his Instagram already, he's doing it anyway. Well, January comes and he's doing his first podcast. I'm like, he's actually doing what he's saying. 8 months down the line, still doing it. So let's see how I'm going to go along. But I think it's quite good. But let's hope you can get a podcast. I can see you with a podcast, traveling and just, you know, a camera and a mic, asking people what's going on, even like that.
I don't know about that anymore. No. I think my passions have changed in the sense of, I always knew I was passionate about helping people. Yeah. And I always knew that I'm really into clothing. And I kept seeing things in Bali that were suggesting to me to try it myself. And after being sort of going down this biohacking route that I'm going into, and being really passionate about wearing good clothing, organic clothing, and, you know, cotton and things like that. And what I think after having the healing session, I mean, she told me, you will be successful with this business, do this, this, and this, you know, keep working on yourself, but do that. I'm going to give it a go. And I'm one of those people who, like, I do get very scared. I get scared of failure. Yeah. And I get scared to be vulnerable and financially implicated to things. But no one went through life who's been successful without experiencing failure. So you've got to be willing to risk failing, to learn from it. Yeah. And, you know, you will get those ups and downs, but eventually, if you keep at it, you keep your intentions as good and pure, you will become successful. And it's just, like I say, being consistent. And I'm going to give it a go. And if it doesn't work out and I just sell the stock I have, so be it wasn't for me. But if it takes off to the next best thing, and it's the Nike of biohacking clothing, you know, maybe I will start a podcast.
Quite good, as long as there's linen as well. It's great.
For sure. There's going to be linen, there's going to be cotton, there's going to be, apparently people are making things with bamboo.
Oh, okay.
I've only heard about that in Bali, but I'd love to look into it more. And, you know, I've already got a name for it, which I'm not going to say yet.
Keep it to yourself.
I think I said it to you before, and a few people know about it, but like, when the time is right, I really hope it fruitions into something, and I believe it will. So I've just got to make sure I do it. And I've got a really good group of people that I know who all have experience in different parts of how you would make it. So it's learning from those people who are more skilled than you to make you better. And we'll see. But fingers crossed. But I really love to do it. And that sounds good. That's where I want to go rather than the podcasting, I think. But like, who wouldn't want their own podcast? You know what I mean?
That's true. Well, it was really great having you here. It was very much fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I really did, I appreciate it. I love what you're doing, so keep doing it.
Is your anxious feeling gone now?
Yeah. I think I talked you to death there. So.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's nice to just having someone just talk, really.
I can do that. Yeah. Say that after my dad. I'm sure he'll like that.
I was going to say as well. You guys all have something in common. So
yeah, we love to talk.
You guys are not orphans. It's good. Well, that's it for tonight.
Thank you again.